Nestled on the western edge of Port Phillip Bay, an hour and a half's drive from the deadly intrigues of Melbourne, lies Gateway City, the hub of the region, G-Town. For the last 4 decades, an uneasy peace has existed between the Anarchs and Camarilla in G-Town, their borders meeting on Bruce Street in the very centre of the city. The two sects divide the domain neatly in two. The native Anarchs, consolidated in the industrial north, have learned to tolerate Prince Aveline and her Camarilla invaders, and she in turn grants all Anarchs the right to hunt and conduct business in her waterfront domain. Anarch rabble-rousers and Camarilla traditionalists each afford their counterparts a reluctant respect. Until now. Word from Melbourne has reached the kindred of G-Town. Prince Squizzy wages a war on 3 fronts against a newly reorganised Anarch faction, Sabbat infiltrators, and the onslaught of the Second Inquisition. As refugees from both sects flood into Gateway to escape the oncoming chaos, local tensions flare, and the truce that has maintained peace since 1983 will be pushed to its limits. Welcome to Lords of G-Town, a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition actual play podcast presented by DM Fiat Podcast, with music by Kevin MacLeod, White Bat Audio, Ivan Duch, and Jaxius Music. Now, as the sun sets on the city and the blood stirs, let's see what horrors the kindred face this night. Who will be the Lords of G-Town? Tonight is a night of beginnings, but it's also a night of ending. Something's going to end tonight. Whether it be schemes of Andrea Church, the coercion of Samantha Stokes, the bickering, violent tensions between the Anarchs and the Camarilla, or perhaps the city of G-Town itself, perhaps the lives of those who live within it, perhaps even your own. Something's going to end tonight, and your actions will decide what sort of ending we're going to see. It's been about a week since that night of revelations, since that confrontation at the farmhouse. And tonight, things are ominous. The sky is uncharacteristically clear, no clouds, full moon, an endless black expanse, a sea of stars, all out in full force, shining, dancing with anticipation, as if they know tonight it all ends, as if they are partying on their final night. Let's go ahead and start with a rouse check to see who enters this final night hungrier.
Marion gets hungrier.
Hunger 2 for Marion.
Yeah, I think we all get hungrier.
Hunger 2 for Wolf.
Are we
Hunger
across
2
the
for Cat.
Fuck, yeah, we are. Yeah,
The
everybody's-
beast.
And I've got 2 superficial. I'm going to try and heal now.
Yes, go ahead. The beast seems to be anticipating something. It seems to know, too, that tonight is a night of endings, and as you awaken, you find yourselves tense, anxious, edgy. The ever-present hunger pains already tearing into your psyche. The shadows seem longer, darker. And that's appropriate, because as we begin tonight, you've all been called to the Colonial Hotel, Hakata territory. It was Marion who put the call out for the rest of you, ordered by her superiors, Chase and Verity Giovanni. She summoned you all to the hotel because there's someone who wishes to talk to you, someone who, in the words of Chase and Giovanni, vague as ever, is prepared to offer answers. And so we find the group being led by Chase and Verity Giovanni up to the very top floor of the Colonial Hotel. The elevator lurches to a stop, the doors slide open, and you're led down a long, lavishly decorated hallway. There's only one suite on this floor. Floor is off limits to the regular customers. Only the staff, only the Giovanni and their guests, their personal guests, are allowed to be here. They lead you to the door of the single penthouse suite. Nod silently in good luck and push the door open. You all step inside into a hotel suite drowned in inky blackness, unnatural darkness. If you didn't know any better, you'd think this was the suite where it all happened 22 years ago. The layout is almost exactly the same. The decoration, the furniture, all of it stuck in the late 90s, never updated. All electronic technology has been removed. No television, no phone, no radio. Perfect La Sombra haven. And sure enough, seated at the table in the little kitchenette, raising her head from her hands to watch you enter, is Samantha Stokes. Her body little more than a sketchy silhouette in the darkness. As you enter the suite, the door shuts behind you, and you're trapped here with this monster in her domain. She motions for you to take a seat at the table as her voice rings out, disturbing the silence. I understand we have things to talk about. I have things that I wish to air for myself. Take a seat. Let's lay our cards on the table and figure out where we stand. And so...
Dick folds his arms.
Go ahead, Tick.
Dick just folds his arms and keeps standing.
Does anyone take a seat? Or do you stand, showing her your defiance? Everyone stands firm. Bouncer imitating Tig by folding her arms, leaning back against the wall. Why are we here then? She spits. We know what you've been doing to us. I know, says Sam, sighing. Perhaps I miscalculated on a few decisions. I would have told you eventually this isn't the way I wanted for it to get out, but get out it has. And now you know, and you want answers, so I'm willing to provide them. We've been through a lot together, haven't we? I owe you that much, and you owe me the chance to explain everything. She leans back in her chair, sighs once more. Well, go on then. Wolf, Tig, Bouncer, Marion. She glares at Cat. And you, fledgling. You're all in it now. We're all in the same boat. You've been waiting for this chance to speak to me, and I am making it happen tonight. So go on, ask of me what you will.
What made you split from Andrea?
Andrea? Are you so sure I split from her at all?
No,
Understand
but I'm
the
willing to listen.
lupines. Yeah, I've earned that as much, don't you think?
Jury's out on that.
Look, I understand I've done some things that... Well, let's be frank. I did wrong by you all, but since then, I've always looked out for you. Have I ever done anything to put you in harm's way? She looks over at Wolf. Wolf, you've been loyal for the last 22 years, not because of some mind game I played with you, but because we had a mutual beneficial arrangement. I kept you safe, nurtured you, took me under my wing, and you did the things that no one else was willing to do. Doesn't that mean something?
It means something, but I'm not sure exactly how much.
So, Andrea, she says, I was embraced when G-Town was nothing more than a handful of buildings on a main street. Late 1800s. Same time as Andrea, by the way, but where she was born into her clan. She glances over at Kat. Embraced in the Bali way. The way I'm sure you're familiar with. I was a La Sombra. And back in those days, being a La Sombra meant you didn't have a lot of friends. Anywhere where the Cam held sway, hell, anywhere where the Anarchs held sway, anywhere where the Sabat were persona non grata, meant that La Sombra didn't have the luxury of picking and choosing their friends. They took who they could get. And that's where Andrea came in. I wasn't aware of her clan, her true nature. Not at first. All I was aware of is that there was another neonate in the city, roughly dead as long as I had been, and like me, had been finding it hard to make friends in this domain. Both of us on the run from our sires, or so she said, both of us trying to make a fresh start of it. And so naturally we became friends. Sure. She confided in me who she was, what she was, offered to make me one like her, but... And she looks over at Tig at this, as if as if this is supposed to answer your question. I never took her up on the offer. I never became one like her. Never went through the rituals. I remained a La Sombra. Sure, I learned some of her hocus pocus. Learned a thing or two about demons, about the powers she purported to respect. But I never became one like her. And that was what ultimately drove a wedge between us. That and her plans for this city. And it was I who drove her out. Told her to never return, although I knew one day she would, because that thing in Cowie's Bay, that thing she wants to bind, is too good of an opportunity for her to ever pass up. But I kept this domain safe, and for that I earned my place, not as a Bali, but as a La Sombra. She takes a long, deep breath as she finishes.
That'll be 2 on the insight check.
2 on the insight check. I'll go ahead and roll for her. Does anyone else want to attempt an insight check?
Yeah,
as
I'll
well?
do that.
Go ahead, wits insight.
3.
3.
Oh, and one of those heal dice was a fail, so yeah, I'm on 3 hunger.
Hunger 3. Alright. So, 2 and 3. Hard to get a reading on her. You can barely see her face. This darkness, this unnatural pitch blackness seems to conceal the edges, the lines around her mouth, around her eyes. You can see her mouth move as she talks, but there's no hint of emotion in her face. Swear it, she says. I swear it that I never wanted Andrea to achieve her ends. When I learned what she had in store for this domain, for all the kindred within it, for all the kind, even, well, the local anarchs had never welcomed me as one of their own, but they didn't deserve that. So we called it quits. I ran her out of the city and prepared for the inevitable night when she would return, when it would be up to me to put an end to what started all those years ago once and for all. Is that satisfactory, Tig? Wolf?
Answers that question for me. I might have more, but somebody else can have a go if they like.
So just to catch you up, Paradox, first you have to make a rouse check to see if you get hungrier. And the coterie's been called to the Colonial Hotel up to the penthouse suite, which apparently is serving as a haven for Sam. And she's offered to have it out with you, lay it all out on the table. Any questions you want to ask her, anything you wish to level against her, she will answer for.
Yes, I have a question.
She looks over at Marion. Go ahead. I don't have to explain myself as much to you, I take it. After all, you were acting of your own accord this whole time.
Honestly, I just want to know why we're doing all this. Why now?
Why now? Because... Success? Because if we don't, Marion, then everybody will suffer. There's a thing in Cowie's Bay, she says, lowering her head. It's been here for decades, centuries even, possibly millennia, when the colonizers came over from Europe, when the white men began to spill indigenous blood. It was there, it was already there. And it was stirring. And it's been waiting for its time. To a Bali like Andrea Church, such a thing, I don't know what to call it. I don't know whether it's a demon or a spirit or just a vampire of incomprehensible age and power. To a Bali like her, it's power waiting to be tapped into. That was the reason she came to G-Town in the first place, because she had heard it stir, felt its rumblings, and she wished to bind it, press it into service. But a single Bali like her was easier said than done. It would take years of preparation. I helped her with some of it until I realized what would happen if that thing ever was to actually awaken, if it ever rose from the bay and set its sights on the city. So I knew, even though I ran her out of the city, she would spend years preparing, learning all she could, so that one day she would return. I would recognize the signs, and I had a contingency ready. She meets you in the eyes, Marion, and for a moment you think she's going to dominate you. You wouldn't put it past her. What do you do?
She'd brace to resist, as subtly as she can, just in case she's wrong.
Whether she intends to do it or not, it seems the thought does occur to her. A few seconds later, she looks away again, takes in everyone's faces. I set up a contingency. I knew if I ever divulged my connection between myself and Andrea, no one in this city would help. So I had to take it into my own hands. I started cultivating neonates. Couple, 1, 2 at first. None of them really took. They all drifted out of the domain or got embroiled in other things until a very unlikely group of neonates were all embraced around the same time. And for you, it took. I made sure it took. And I spent decades honing you, preparing you, training you how to deal with any sort of problem that would arise, so that when the true danger to this domain arose, when Andrea Church returned, you would be ready for it. And now it all falls into your lap. Prince Aveline's watching me. Her harpies have decided that I was involved in Valerie's disappearance. That third murder, the one you didn't even bother checking out, the one that you left to Constable... The one that you left to Constable Webber. Well, that reached the harpy's ears. She kept it out of the paper, but it was enough to cement their suspicions that the consul was neglecting her duties, working towards her own ends. So I can't go to the prince for help. I can't go to the anarchs for help, because under the new warlord, under Dinesh, and with all of the tensions, with everything happening in Melbourne, They'd never assist anybody who's nominally a member of the cam, even someone on the outs of the prince. So I've called you here tonight, not to demand, but to ask that you assist me one last time. Help me save this domain. And then she glances over at Wolf. You're free. Finally free.
Your intentions are admirable, but your plan is flawed. I'll leave it to the others to decide.
Anyone else got any other questions before I ask mine?
So your big plan was to make a mess and then have it all fall on us. Someone else to clean it up for you.
I could not risk the connection between myself and Andrea ever being divulged. You have no idea how hard I've worked to find a place in this city, to demand people's respect, to not simply be shunned because of one's blood, and I'll not risk any of it, she says. But I knew I couldn't do it on my own. I forced you to do my bidding, yes. She nods. I admit to that, Bouncer. But it's what had to be done. It was for the good of everyone, for the greater good. And I'm offering you the chance tonight to finally be rid of it, to finally make a choice on your own terms, to do something not because of some misguided sense of loyalty, but because you want to do the right thing, because you care about this city and those who live within it.
Did I answer your question there, Bouncer?
It answered enough.
Kick shifts to look at Cat. How about you? Any questions?
You, fledgling, says Sam. You were never part of the plan, but we're talking about the woman who created you, the monster who killed you, murdered you in the most violent way. This is your chance to avenge yourself, your chance to remove her spectre from looming over your life, and if you're to live as one of us under your own terms, then I don't see what choice you have.
I don't believe I said you had a question. You don't get a go. You answer. Cat, do you have a question? If you don't, that's fine too.
I don't believe so.
That's fair enough.
Let me ask one of my own, then, says Sam, raising a finger. I never did wrong by Cat. I can ask her a question.
That's
You're
up to
here
her,
of
but-
your own free will, Cat. No one's forced you to be here. So tell me, the chance to get back at Andrea Church, the chance to avenge yourself, get back for the harm she's caused you, doesn't that fill you with anticipation? Don't you wish you could give it your all to help
Jesus.
end this once and for all?
You can be honest.
I mean, a little bit, I guess.
No one wants to live as a Barley. That would be suicide in this city. In any city with respectable Cainites, wouldn't it? And if there were anyone in this city, anyone among us who would secretly be working against their own interests, working for Andrea Church, it wouldn't be me. It would be her own spawn, would it not? So
There it is.
I think you have no choice but to help us, Cat. Her blood runs in your veins, and that's going to be a great advantage in what's to be done tonight. And if you don't wish to help, well, let it be known
Marion
when
slaps
this is all...
Sam square in the face.
Square in the face, you slap her. Go ahead, roll me a... Go ahead and roll me
Dex.
a... Brawl plus Dex, yeah.
I'm not intending to do any real damage, but...
No, but... This is a La Sombra.
1 success.
1 success. You move with lightning speed, reach out ready to slap her, but she's ready for you, sitting there at the end of the table. She suddenly moves, jerks her head to the left, and the darkness behind her seems to lurch forwards. An inky black tendril reaches out and, like a whip, strikes your hand, knocking it away from her. You take a point of superficial damage.
What the fuck was that, Sam? Are you serious?
Struck a nerve, have I?
Oh, fuck off, Samantha. Fuck off.
Didn't call you in here so this could devolve into fisticuffs. I brought you in here hoping you'd make the right choice because you know what needs to be done. As I was saying, if you don't help us, Cat, let it be known when all the chips have fallen that Andrea's spawn sat back and did nothing. I'm sure the rest of the domain will find that very inspiring.
Are you finished?
The floor is yours, she says, leaning back, and as she does so, even in the darkness, Marion, you can see the snide, smug sneer on her face as she leers at you, seemingly amused.
Do the coterie still have all their stuff on them?
Sure do.
Cool. Wolf is going to bring out his phone and start typing a message in the Notes app and pass it around to the coterie members.
Sam notices, of course. Passing notes, she says.
Wolf doesn't respond. The note, however, says we should meet with the prince immediately.
Marion just nods to him.
Take nods and says, I've got something to say to her first.
Done with your puddle? She says. Let's get down to business.
This is my prize for fixing your fucking problem, says Tig. You sign this. He puts down a grubby piece of paper that reads very clearly that the caitiff, Cat, and Elaine Duncern have graduated and are thus no longer require the consul's services and are to be released upon their own accord. That's one. There's more.
Takes a moment to glance at it, then waits for you to continue.
2, you're coming with us.
Oh, now that I can't do, she says. Sure, the fledglings, take them. I'll have no need of them after this is done.
Goodbye. Tig turns around, starts walking toward the door.
Yeah, Marion follows.
Yep, Wolf follows as well.
Tig, Marion, at Bouncer. Do you turn and leave, following the others?
Yeah.
I will ask everyone present to make a resolve plus either leadership or intimidation roll. As you stand in solidarity with each other.
Can we count coercion towards this or no?
Yeah, I'd say you can add your coercion.
So
You know what? I'll boost it.
You're just bluffing. You're not expecting her to call your bluff.
3.
3.
I get hungrier. Only one success, but I will willpower this one.
If I intimidation, can I daunt?
Yeah, you sure
Cat
can.
rolled a messy crit.
No.
That rolled a messy
Fortunately, you were
crit.
ghost ridden.
Get to that in a moment.
Yeah, it's 3 for Wolf.
Is Cat? Does Cat have a ghost? I thought it was only like the original group who have
No, I
ghosts.
don't.
No.
Oh, okay. So 2 successes total from Dig.
2 successes total from Tig. Bouncer, Wolf.
Oh, critical 7.
Critical 7.
So yeah, that's a 4 from Cat and a 3 from Wolf.
Yeah. So that's against the 7 successes that Sam rolled. More than enough. You turn to leave, and Cat, as you do so, with the others by your side, you stride towards the door. Sam's voice lingering in the back of your mind. Her spawn, a barley, and her beast roars. You'll show her what this blood is capable of. You stop short of pulling the door open, turn around, and your presence flaring, look Sam right in the face. And whatever she sees in your eyes, she doesn't like. She flinches, recoils, and then finally holds out a hand. Wait, she says. I need you. I'm not afraid to admit it.
The problem isn't that you need us. The problem is that you're a coward. You put up all these dominoes to make sure this all falls exactly right, and then you won't even be present.
Here's the thing, says Dig. You don't have to play a direct hand. You can sit back and be the cavalry, but you will be there. Or this ain't happening. You can cover our escape if you need to.
Let's say I wanted to help, she says, clasping her hands together. And they create sort of like a pyramid shape framed against the dark silhouette that is Sam herself. Let's say I wanted to help. I can't leave this room.
And why not?
Safe harbor agreement with the Hecata. That's why this hotel exists. You'll recall, it was the Hecata who were the only ones who helped me back when I split with Andrea.
Uh-huh.
They were being shunned too, and we stuck together. We carved a niche, helping each other. I helped them establish themselves in the city. In return, they gave me a haven
And how
here.
many watchers are outside?
She shrugs. I have no way of knowing, but with the prince so eager to pull me before her and answer for crimes that I have nothing to do with, I wouldn't be surprised if she's called a blood hunt if there's 10 vampires waiting on the street outside to pounce on me the moment.
Now your cowardice does you ill.
If it would make it any easier for you... Excuse me? If it would make it any easier for you, Samantha, I'd be happy to talk to someone about removing your safe harbor here.
Go ahead, make me a manipulation subterfuge check, please.
I think I'm coercing.
Yeah, I think you are coercing.
I'm gonna reroll. 4.
4. 4 successes to her 3 successes. Takes 2 points of willpower damage. The loss doubled by the unnatural darkness in the room. You wouldn't dare, she says,
Why would I not?
as if you command that sort of presence around here anyway.
You're not
she
well
says.
liked, Samantha. It's not going to take much effort.
Fine, she says.
She commands more than you know. Marion, can you fetch us a Samantha-sized box? And then can you ask your friend to sweep around and see if there's any watchers? We're the only lot who does ghost shit around here, so I doubt the Cambrilla has a way to counter ghost shit.
If Atticus is to hand, she will pass that along.
You just clasp your hand over his fetter, and I'd like you to go ahead and roll 6 dice for him, please.
Sure. 3.
There's a shift in the room's air, almost imperceptible, as Atticus makes his presence known momentarily and departs. If you can get me out of this room, past the Prince's watchers, says Sam, then what? You don't even know where we're going. I haven't even explained to you what's to be done. And you'll see then that you need me and don't want to risk any harm befalling me.
The third part of the price is that I'm going to ask you a question. I don't have time for it now, but I'll ask you then, and I'll ask you to answer truthfully. Paper, cavalry, question. Deal, or are we walking?
There's silence for a moment. You hear her sigh.
Wolf,
She
I
buries
do like your plan. We can do it if she don't agree.
buries her face in her palms, thinking. And then finally she looks up again. You have a deal on the first 2, the third provisional, based on what you're about to ask.
I'm not asking it now. I'll ask it when it's all done. If we don't survive this, it's moot.
At least hear what needs to be done then before you force me to risk my skin, she says.
Really? Is that really how we're doing this?
She doesn't like it when it's her doing it, eh? Does it to us all the time. Alright. Go on, explain what we gotta do.
To the thing in Cowie's Bay. It stirs even now. Whenever blood is spilt in G-Town, whenever tensions boil, whenever feuds are fought, it stirs. That's what Andrea's been doing since she came back. Luring Cam over to the Anarchs to stir the pot. Embracing Flick. Creating you, she gestures her hand at Cat. All the while, that platform out in the bay extracts the thing's lifeblood. Makes sure that its seed is spread throughout this city, that its influence is felt, that the bonds, the fabric between this world and the next is slowly eroded. All of it building towards the final ritual, where all of the chaos she has wrought.
We're gonna have to blow up the platform, ain't we?
Prescient, she says. It was all building to the platform, of course.
I hope you don't mind me cutting the fucking drama.
That's where the thing is.
Alright.
Andrea will be there, and she'll be calling upon all the strife she's caused to finally disturb that thing's sleep, cause it to stir one last time, cause it to awaken and lurch from the bay so that she may bind it. But she doesn't understand that she won't be able to. We'll all be doomed. But it ain't as simple as going to the platform and stopping her. See, I know how this works. And while it's in the bay itself, and while the platform is the focal point for everything she's doing, that thing is bound to the land, bound to this tongue of land, Jilang itself. There need to be anchor points set up across the land, places where she has wrought significant bloodshed. One, the Otollies, where Cat was created. I'm sure if you sent Atticus to look, she looks over at Marion, you would have noticed a huge tear between the skin lands and the shadow lands, a festering wound. The second, the mall where you fought the Bane. Not a site of bloodshed, but a site of dead things nonetheless. Dead buildings, dead memories, dead dreams. The third was to be that farmhouse where Jodie was to set you alight. Her death and yours in that conflagration was to open the third. That one's been dealt with. So is the one in the mall. The fourth, and the most important, is at her haven. And only I know where that is.
Alright.
Right, so what are you saying the plan is? We go and stop her from doing something, vaguely?
All the pieces have fallen into place. She'll be at the platform tonight, preparing for the ritual. Someone's going to need to go there to stop her, but someone's also going to need to go to her haven and to the Otollies where Cat was created to seal those two anchor points. Only
Hold
when
on. I don't think you understood what I was saying. What are we doing to her? What are we stopping specifically?
you're stopping her from opening...
What is the ritual?
She thinks for a moment. There will be a sigil on the platform, a magic circle, and it's within this circle that she will call upon all the chaos and strife she has wrought in this city. The energy will coalesce within the circle, and then she will use some of her Bawley blood magic to cause the thing within the bay to awaken, bolstered by the anchor points. Energy flowing from 4 locations at once.
I see a glaring hole in this. If we go to her, we are creating another one of these anchor points. Why go to her at all? Why not just disrupt these other locations you're speaking of and give her no, I don't know, fuel to whatever it is she's doing?
Because the anchor points bolster the ritual, Sam says. Bolster, but are not entirely essential. If you were to leave her to her own devices and simply scrub the anchor points from existence, all you'd be doing is delaying the inevitable. Sure, she would fail, her ritual would not work, the thing in the bay would stir and then fall back into slumber, but in that momentary moment when it's awake, that stir, that lurch, who knows what could happen? And it would still be there, so that years later she could return and try this all again.
Alright,
I have a suggestion.
we're listening.
Why don't we disrupt these anchor sites, let her fail, and then take her out somewhere where she can't use the chaos that we create as a new anchor point?
I can answer that one. It's because she's really good at going to ground. Otherwise, we would have found her by now.
If I knew we were looking for her until recently, I'm sure we would have found her.
She looks at you, Wolf, and she says, I made an earnest mistake. If anyone could have found her, you probably could have. But I wasn't ready to reveal the connection between myself and her. I spent the last couple of months using every resource I have, every ounce of influence I wield in this city to finally uncover the location of her haven.
Yeah, if we leave her free, she'll just go out and set this up again and do it on her own sweet time.
She was last here in the 1920s, says Sam, shrugging. You might buy 50, 60 years.
Why not just trade this information to the Camarilla for your freedom?
You've made it abundantly clear that this isn't altruistic. This is about saving your hide. Otherwise, you'd be out there doing this yourself.
Even if
you're scared and you're afraid.
Even if the prince did not have me executed on the spot for my transgressions, my status in this city, my title as consul would be null and void.
It's already gone.
So what's your plan here? It doesn't make any sense. You want to save the world and save all the pain from whatever's going to be happening, but you want to make sure that you get to keep your little crown?
And I will, if it's known that it was I and my envoys that saved this city, then the prince could be persuaded to let everything slide.
And if we simply tell them our perspective on this situation?
Why would you? She says.
Because we don't like you, Sam.
Come on. I could have done much worse. I gave you all a place in this city when your sires wouldn't have you, when your sects wouldn't have you. I gave you a purpose. As my envoys, you commanded far more respect in this city than you would have on your own. And I think that's worth something.
Wolf turns to leave again.
Pig holds up his hand. Shows a look at Bouncer. Bouncer, do you trust the Camarilla to handle this fucking business?
I can't say that I do.
Yeah, me neither. Look, it's up to you, Wolf. But after I ask her that one last question, after this is all done, you can do as you like. Is that okay with you? Or would you like, Oh yeah. And Tig holds up a pad of paper, only to him, and shows him the last question. And I will go ahead and DM it to you.
Ooh, it's spicy.
Ooh.
Assuming I can find you on the list here. It's been a while. Hang on.
This is the terms of our deal, says Sam. I'll release Elaine and Kat.
God, it has been a while.
I will answer any questions you have. But in return, for not having to risk my skin, I will tell you the location of her haven, and you need it. You cannot proceed without it. If you seek to turn me over to the Camarilla, or choose not to work with me, then I'll withhold that information, and we'll all lie in the bed you've made. And I'll let that rest on your heads.
So I wasn't paying attention. You signing the paper and coming with or not?
Currently, she's waving around the worst bargaining chip I've ever heard.
Like I said, Tig,
Glad
she
I missed
says,
it then.
looking into your eyes. But not dominating you, just doing her very best to set you on edge. her eyes nothing more than black orbs in their sockets.
Hig's faded blue eyes just stare back. He looks bored.
I know where her haven is, the most important anchor point. And if you wish to know where it is, then you will play by my rules. Otherwise, set your affairs in order and get out of this city because it won't be lasting very long.
You got the box yet, Marion?
At this point, Marion, you feel the air in the room once again flutter. In your mind's eye, Atticus stands before you, saluting, smacking his fist against the chest plate, and he tells you that outside of the hotel, nobody waits at all. Sam has once again overestimated her own importance.
Seems we can just leave whenever we feel like it. Atticus, darling, how possible do you think it would be to find a particularly important place of significance in a short amount of time?
He frowns, pouring his sentiments directly into your mind. He could look, if these are the same as what he saw at the O'Tollies, big wounds, tears in the veil between this world and the next, he could eventually find it, but last time at the O'Tollies, he barely escaped from whatever was on the other side, whatever overwhelming force tried to pull him in. And there's no guarantee that if this one is even bigger, even more powerful, that he'll be able to get back to you or affect any meaningful change at all.
She just nods.
That said, Tig, I'd like you to go ahead and roll 3 dice for me.
3 dice? Alright. Total failure.
Would you like to willpower that?
Well, 2 of them are hunger. No,
Well,
actually,
hunger
no.
won't count for this.
Yeah, I'll totally willpower this. 1 success.
1 success. As Wolf turns to leave the room, deciding that he will not play by Sam's rules, you feel your phone vibrate in your pocket. You fish it out. You don't dare to touch any of the buttons for just in case you manage to accidentally delete this message, as Tigs want to do, but you recognize the number on the screen. Dirge. You can read the first line of the message in the preview. It says, "We found it."
Alright. Sam, we got the information. You can sign the paper and come with us, or you can sit here and rot.
And if I don't come with you, if I choose to sit here and rot?
Then I'll ask my question now, and you won't like it.
She leans back in the chair, folding her arms, silently inviting you to speak your mind.
Choose.
Tween?
Coming with, or answering.
I'll answer, she says.
Good. Tig leans over,
Wolf
puts
prepares
his
himself.
hand on hers,
The city would fall apart without me, she says.
and says,
I can't risk it.
and roars, "What, Valerie?" And then he punches her as hard as he can.
So your mic cut out most of the yelling, so just summarize what you said.
He said, "Where is Valerie?"
Ooh, Go ahead, make me a strength brawl check.
as his hand tightens on hers, holding her in place, and he starts beating her savagely.
How many do you get?
Well, let's see here. 5 successes.
5 successes. 5 successes to her 5 successes as you lunge forwards, flinging yourself across the table. Her eyes, the black orbs, flash, and a tendril of darkness extends from the room behind her, scrabbling through the air, trying to catch you, but all it manages to do is drag itself across your skin, leaving a nasty welt. You take a single point of superficial damage as you slide across the table, land on her,
Nope. He
spilling
takes nothing.
her. Takes
Toughness.
nothing. Toughness, yeah. Make sure you rouse, though.
Oh, yep. Hunger 5.
Instantly spilling her across the table, pinning her to the ground and laying into her. She takes a point of superficial damage herself as she gasps, squirming to try to evade your blows. And as she does so, 2 more tendrils eke out of the darkness, bearing down upon Tig. What do the rest of you do?
Wolf has become quite fond of the coterie at this point, so he'll be leaping in to assist.
Leaping in to assist. Picking one of those arms, trying to stop it from getting to Tig. Sure. Bouncer?
Are there any? Is there any lights in the room, or is it like
Not
this was
at all.
specifically built for that? Yeah.
No, not a single light. Even the windows, which don't appear to be boarded up or covered in any way, even the ambient moonlight from outside doesn't seem to penetrate this room.
Phone torch.
Phone torch. Yeah. Gonna try that, Bouncer.
Yeah, she'll try that initially, see if that like throws off some of her shadowy powers or whatever it is.
And Cat, what are you doing? Would you like to try the other arm, the one that Wolf is not going for? See if you can hold it off.
So, okay. Once again, what all can we see? Like,
So you see Sam, she's on the ground wrestling with Tig. He's laying into her. The room is unnaturally dark, and as Tig's trying to beat something out of her, there are 2 long black tendrils of darkness seeming to reach out from behind her, and they're both moving straight towards Tig to pull him off.
okay. But there's no like light sources at all in the room, right?
It doesn't
None at all?
seem to be. It's most unusual. Even the moonlight from outside doesn't seem to penetrate this room.
Okay. Because Cat is not the best at
If you
tackling
like,
things or head on, but let's see.
if you can either try to tackle one heads on, or you can attempt to make a wits awareness roll to notice that this darkness is unnatural, and that'll make you realize that some light might help.
Yeah. Well, my thinking, or Cat's thinking, is maybe there's something, something with which to make an actual torch.
Yeah. All right, so you can make a wits awareness roll, and you can add, or you can substitute awareness for occult if you want.
Oh, yeah, I will do that. It's 5. That's 2 successes.
2 successes. So you quickly scan the room, Cat. It's like somebody's upended a gigantic inkwell on the room. Everything is cast in darkness. You can only just make out the shapes of the furniture, the curvature of the walls, and that's it. There doesn't seem to be any central source of this shadow. It's as if the shadow itself is alive and has engulfed the room rather than being cast from any one thing. You instantly recognize it as some sort of supernatural presence. And like all supernatural darkness, you surmise that its weakness is light, real light. Meanwhile, Bouncer steps forwards, pulls out her phone, slides her thumb across it, and the phone flashlight comes on. There's a tiny pinprick of light right there on the edge of the phone, and you see it for about 3 seconds, the light it casts across the room, until the darkness seems to coalesce and snuff it out. Wolf, how are you moving against the arms? What's your plan?
Wolf's job is to literally jump on it, knife in hand.
So that sounds like a blink to me.
Yeah, why not?
So go ahead, rouse your blood.
He gets hungrier, so that's hunger 2 now.
2. Go ahead and make me a dexterity melee check. Your knife in hand, instantly drawn, whoosh, as you dash across the room.
Messy 8.
Messy 8. Nice. Very nice indeed. I will roll for her. So the arm gets 6 successes. 2 short of your messy 8. As you rush forwards, your knife comes out. One of the inky tendrils lurches up like a great snake, whirls and begins to whip in your direction. You dodge as it sails over your head and then come up with your knife. Your knife doesn't seem to stick into anything. It feels like you're stabbing up into thin air, but it seems to find its mark. The shadowy tendril shakes and breaks apart into several motes of black smoke that fade away. Then you see Sam lying on the ground before you, with Tig wrestling with her, his fist slamming into her face. With the inky tendril out of the way, there's nothing stopping you from getting to her, and your beast rattles its cage. If you had a heart, it would be beating 1,000,000 beats a second. You can feel your inside squirm as you look down at this pathetic thing before you, this thing that used you like a tool, like a puppet. And I would like you, because of your messy crit, to go ahead and roll me a frenzy check. Resolve plus composure plus 1/3 of your humanity.
That's 3 successes.
3 successes. The anger is almost overwhelming. However, you have the choice. Force it away. Hold yourself back. Or you can simply give in.
Wolf knows that the way he does things is calculated and considered. He's going to get to her, but he's not going to lose his cool to do so.
Simply take a step closer towards her, flexing your knife. She sees you out of the corner of her eye, and her face screws up in concentration as she tries to fight off Tig, now aware that you're slowly getting closer. And she's seen that look on your face many times, that look on your face that says someone's about to disappear. There's one arm left, flailing, crashing across the room, slowly bearing down upon Tig. Bouncer, your phone light seems to be utterly ineffective. What would you like to do?
Alright, well, I'll take label and putting all my eggs in that basket. And...
Follow Wolf's lead and charge straight towards it.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah. So
Just try and smash it.
I'll give you two choices.
Cool.
You could charge straight across the room towards it, normal combat roll, or, if you like, you can rouse the blood, and I'll let you use your soaring leap to close the distance, which will give you an advantage.
Yeah, let's soaring leap.
Soaring leap. Go ahead, rouse your blood.
Ooh, success.
Success.
Don't get hungry.
Don't get hungrier. And Marion, is there anything you're doing while all this is going on?
A younger generation vampire has to spend a willpower to negate dominate, don't they?
Yeah.
And she's down a fair bit of willpower, right?
You've drained a fair bit of her willpower in the social combat, yes, but I won't reveal if it's all gone.
I'm tossing up between just absolutely berating her down with enough rounds of domination, or just using gun.
I mean, it would be very Marion to just dominate her into supplication.
I think she wants to. And so... Sorry?
Go for it.
Oh yeah, I think she will. I think we're just going to take repeated efforts of mesmerize until she's used up her willpower. I'm happy to use the blood, and she will say, "Down."
Down. All right. Go ahead. Make me a manipulation plus dominate check.
Yep. God, that's a good poll. 5 successes.
5 successes.
And she doesn't get hungrier.
She rolls 4 successes as you step forwards, blink into her eyes and bark the order, down. She grits her teeth and lets out a yell, never! As she spends her last point of willpower to negate your domination. She is now impaired, and as she's impaired, you see the darkness in the room seem to flicker. For a brief moment, the ambient moonlight from outside floods into the room, only for a second before the darkness once again swarms in, covering it. The inky tendril that's left twitches, seems to lose some of its corporeality as she struggles to hold it together just as Bouncer leaps towards it, flying across the room. As Bouncer leaps towards it, Kat, what would you like to do? Would you find some light to shed on the situation?
Yeah, so you said that there were windows, but the light isn't...
There are windows, but
doing anything?
the light doesn't seem to be doing anything, but you notice in that moment of hesitation, that moment where Sam faltered, the light from outside did penetrate the room, only for a second before the darkness seemed to wrap around the window frame, choking it out once again.
But there's like nothing covering the windows. Like
Nothing covering the window. You could smash the glass if you wanted, see if that helps.
Yeah, sure. What's around it I can throw through that?
could grab a chair. You could try to get to the window to break it up close or something, or you could grab a chair, fling it across the room, and hope you hit it.
Yeah, she's just gonna throw it.
Right. You rush forwards, yanking a chair out from under the table, and with a grunt, hurl it towards the window. Go ahead, make me a strength athletics check. Don't forget, you can always rouse the blood if you want extra dice.
This is good. Nope, that's a fail.
Would you like to willpower?
No, I'll just take it.
The chair sails across the room. It slams into the wall, leaving a hole in the plaster, but falls just short of the window. And grunting in effort, Sam screws her eyes shut, grits her teeth, and the darkness passes over the surface of the glass like a black curtain. Your
her eyes are shut?
opportunity is wasted. Her eyes are now shut.
Cool, she can't dodge. Tig punches her more.
Yeah, Tig punches her again. She takes another point of superficial damage as Bouncer, you leap towards the tendril, ready to wrestle it away from Tig. And as you rush across the table, she hears you coming. Like a snake, the tentacle rears back, darts away from Tig, and prepares to lash towards you. Go ahead, Bouncer, make me a strength brawl check. And of course, if you have toughness, you can rouse the blood to add your protean.
Yeah, no, the tentacle wouldn't count as kindred, would it?
No. Well, no, it's more like living darkness, although it is one of her disciplines.
Shadow boxing.
Yeah. Quick reroll.
Oh, I will say that anyone who spent any willpower at all during this scene, you actually spent double the willpower.
What?
Okay.
Because of the shadow cast that's in effect.
Uh,
Well, I know that only applies to social combat, I just checked. No, it's fine.
Okay.
So it's 3 total.
3 total?
Yeah.
She is impaired. So she's working with less dice in her pool. She has no willpower left. That's 2 successes. The tendril snakes down. You weave to the side and send out a punch. The punch flies through the tendril, hitting the wall, sending cracks crisscrossing through the plaster. The arm of Ahriman dissipates into motes of smoke. Under you, Tig, Sam squirms, pathetically, feebly, and then she falls lax, limp. Stop! Stop! She spits
Where
at you through gritted
is
teeth.
Valerie?
Gone!
Thought so.
Wolf rummages
Steak.
around. Yeah, I was going to say Wolf rummages around in his breast pocket for his notepad and pencil, and has intentions for that pencil.
Go ahead.
Where?
Gone! What does it matter? She's never coming back!
You killed Valerie?
Would have ruined everything if she got it out.
Let's put a pin in this. And Tig holds her up.
Wolf looks at the pencil, realizes it's definitely not a pen, and it will work, and moves to stake her.
You move towards her. She looks up into your eyes, and you see, for the very first time in the decades you've known her, something you've never seen on Sam's face. The cool smugness is wiped away, replaced with pleading. "Please, Wolf," she says. If you hand me over to the prince, nobody will protect you from your sire."
I can protect myself. Thank you very much. And he stakes her.
Comes down and the pencil slams into her chest. She opens her mouth to say something, but never gets the words out. She chokes. Her eyes roll back into their sockets. Her skin begins to putrefy, turns stony grey. And then she is still. The darkness in the room instantly flickers and disappears as the light of the full moon floods the room.
Why? I didn't ask earlier. It's because I already knew the answer. I already knew the fucking answer. Wolf, if you can get use out of her, she's yours if nobody objects. I need to go eat a dog, or I'm gonna do something bad. I'll meet you downstairs.
It's at this very inconvenient moment that your phone begins to vibrate. Still in your left hand. Not just a message this time. It's ringing. The
He
same
hands it to
number.
Bouncer.
Hands it to Bouncer.
Tell her.
I'll tell her you said hi.
Bouncer presses her thumb down on the Nokia. Boop. Instantly, Dirge's voice fills the room. "Hey! You leeches okay? Someone said some shit's going on in the Umbra. And
Listen.
we thought..."
There's two sites. There's the Otalis on 5th and... What was it? What's the address, Cat?
List.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's one of the site. There's another site out there. That's, a Raven. Have you found it?
The blood in that ghoul you gave us. Yeah. Our shaman
All right.
tracked it through the Umbra. There's an old, crumbling church out on the outskirts of town. Something's going on there.
Right. If you lot can seal that and the Otalis, we're gonna go whack the platform.
How you gonna
And kill
get
Andrea. We've been there before. But if you got a better idea where all he is.
there? Will you be able to do it?
I think we can. Yeah. I think we got a shot.
Take the anchor points. Let's end this tonight, and then things go back to how they were. And let it be known that on this occasion, some leeches pulled through. Maybe, after all this is done, your clan and my kind can work out some sort of permanent truce, huh?
We'll talk after this is done. See who's left. Good luck.
There's a beep. Boop. The phone goes dead. And then Tig's gone, shuffling through the door, slamming it shut behind him so hard that a crack forms in the door frame.
Let's get moving. And when he gets to the parking garage, if nobody else has anything they want to add, does anyone else have anything they want to add?
No.
No?
When they get to the parking garage, you see that Tig's ute isn't there. A large, faded panel truck with the words Duncern Farms is. And from the sound of the panel truck comes a lot of barking and snuffling and whinging. Tig opens the panel, calls a dog out, calls it into the front seat with him. Blood splatters the window, and then the truck flares to life.
Meanwhile, upstairs, the rest of you take one last look at Sam, pathetic, lying still on the floor in a heap, a pencil sticking out of her torso. Good riddance. And you turn and follow Tig out of the room. As you push the door open and step out into the hallway, you find Chase Giovanni on the other side. He raises an eyebrow as you step through. "Marion," he says, looking in your direction. "Oh, you're all right. I heard some commotion from the other side of the door. Was wondering if maybe we needed to intervene or..."
Yes, you can go clean up. Goodbye, Chase.
"Clean up?" He peers
Goodbye,
over your
Chase.
shoulder.
And she walks away.
"Samantha Stokes is on the floor in here. What do you expect me to... Somebody staked her with a pencil." You ride the elevator down. Ding! Whoosh. The doors slide open. And you step out into the lobby. Outside, Tig's huge truck sits on the sidewalk, high beams blaring, piercing through into the lobby. You can hear its engine roaring even from here. Cacophony of dogs barking somewhere in the back. And as you're about to join him, Marion, you feel something tug at your waistcoat. You whirl around, and you see Flick there, looking up at you. "You're going after...
Hello, darling.
You're going after Andrea, aren't you?" she says.
That's right.
Not letting go of your coat. She says, "And you're going to leave me here, aren't you?"
Marion looks Flick up and down for a moment and thinks for a second. And then she says, "Would you like to come with?"
"Take me?"
I think you can handle yourself.
Andrea made me what I am. She smiles. "I wasn't expecting you to... I was gonna do the thing that Chase and Verity taught me. I was gonna look you in the eyes and I was gonna demand that you take me along. And you wouldn't have had a choice in the matter."
I'm quite familiar. Well, you can always try that on Andrea.
Smiles and winks. "Oh, I will. Nadine says reputation's everything. And Andrea's a stain that needs to be dealt with. A bad prequel that needs to be retconned."
Marion audibly groans at that before she stifles it.
You feel Flick's hand release your coat, and then almost instantly you feel her tiny fingers interlocking with yours as she tries to hold your hand.
Yeah, Marion holds back.
"Let's go, honey Marion," she says in a sing-song voice. And you step out into the night towards the roaring behemoth. A ferry glides across the choppy, stormy, dark waves of Cowie's Bay. The truck, with Duncern Farms emblazoned on the side, parked on the edge of the ferry. The carrier straining, groaning with the movement of the waves, a cacophony of barking dogs, greeting each rise and crash. A blank-eyed sailor grips the wheel, sitting in the cockpit of the ferry, silently driving you, carrying you across the bay to the Pentex platform. Flick stands behind him, her hand clasped on his forearm. "Just a little longer," she whispers. "Come on. Once you let us off at the platform, numbers will leave you alone, okay?" The man nods, his eyes glazed over, his mind in another place. On the horizon, just ahead, you see the Pentex platform. It's situated in the middle of the dark and stormy sea. Great black waves crashing against a forest of concrete pylons upon which the platform itself sits. The platform is a nest of industry, scaffolding, smokestacks, heavy machinery, all of it in operation. You can hear the humming, the churning of the machinery over the ocean waves. And as the ferry draws closer and closer to the platform, it almost seems as if the drilling platform is shaking, shuddering, groaning, as something unseen stirs in the depths below. Sky above still uncharacteristically clear, the full moon gleaming, its light dancing on the surface of the chaotic waves. "Auntie Marion," says Flick, do you see that?" She points ahead, pointing at the platform on the horizon.
I do.
"What's that red dome?" There is no red dome, I will point out. Just the usual mass of smokestacks, scaffolding, and machinery.
Well, that's good. She says, "I don't know, sweetheart. We'll have to find out." And then she asks Atticus,
You can see it, right, Auntie Marion?"
It's not super clear to me. I think I can kind of make it out.
She hangs her head, disappointed. "Hurry up," she says to the driver, digging her nails into his wrist. In the depths of his domination, he doesn't even feel it. "So, Marion, I'd like you have two choices here. You can summon Atticus to take a look, or you can use your oblivion, the binding fetter, to see if anything acts as a beacon."
I think we'll do both.
Yeah, alright. So first of all, go ahead and roll me for Atticus. Roll me 5 dice for Atticus.
4.
4. The engine of the boat churns as Atticus appears in your mind's eye, already whirling around, pulling his cape around him as he glides across the waves towards the platform. And also, go ahead and roll me your binding fetter, please. Wits plus oblivion.
Can do. Two.
2. As you gaze at the platform, you think for a brief moment you can see it. Not a red dome, as Flick pointed out, but something along the edge of the platform, glowing a faint blood crimson for just a few seconds, as if something lingers on the platform, on the perimeter of the platform. Waves continue to crash against the boat, and you're all jostled as the boat crests a chaotic rise and has a few seconds of hang time before whoosh, landing in the chaotic drink. And Atticus returns. He smiles, saluting. As he closes his eyes, and you see what he sees. The platform is no longer man-made, no longer an edifice of machinery and industry. Instead, the pylons, the edges, the platform itself are carved of bone and flesh, unnaturally melded together in unnatural shapes. Rather than being situated in the churning waves, it lies on top of a great whirlpool, a flowing cyclone of energy, leading straight down into blackness, into the world beyond. And you can feel something horrible, something with a force of will that you've never felt in your entire existence on this earth, at the bottom of that cyclone, slumbering but stirring, growing ever closer to waking up. And around the flesh and bone platform, a bright red bubble glows, the red dome that Flick pointed out. It entirely encases the platform, its red crimson edge seeming to crackle with veins of pitch black energy, seeming to throb, thump, 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 to some unseen heartbeat. You return to the here and now, your stomach lurching as the boat glides across another wave, spraying Tig's truck with seawater. The dogs within let out a cacophony of barks and yelps. "Honey Marion," says Flick, "did you see it?"
Marion squeezes Flick's hand and she says, "I think I did."
"There is a red dome," she says, folding her arms. And then she looks over at the rest of the coterie who've gathered around the cockpit. "You guys can see it too, right?"
I absolutely cannot.
Huh? But
I believe it's there. I just
Numbers
can't
can
see
see it. Numbers says it's there.
it. I'm old, dude.
Auntie
My
Marion can
eyes
see
don't
it
work
too.
so good.
"Bouncer? Wolf?" she says, a hint of pleading in her voice. "At least Auntie Marion can see it," but I don't like the look of it.
Yeah, it's probably bad.
Only Marion can see it, so she's in charge, okay? She can see
Yeah.
the red bubble just like I can, and you can't. So don't you be walking anywhere or moving or doing anything without me or Annie Marion saying so, okay?
You know, I'm okay with that. You want to call the shots, Marion?
Yes, for a change of pace. Let's go with that.
Me and Annie Marion together, says Flick, wrapping her hand once more in yours.
You hear that?
Few minutes later, the ferry reaches the end of its journey. Slides up to a loading dock just off the edge of the platform. This loading dock is at sea level. The black waves lapping against the concrete slab. Towering above is the forest of concrete pylons supporting the platform itself. And there's a utility elevator linking the dock to the platform. The driver of the boat looks up, his face still blank, as he slides the ferry into the gap at the edge of the dock. What do I do now? He says. Flick looks back at him and smiles and says, You'll wait for us right here, won't he, Annie Marion?
Yes, you will.
Everyone? She says, clapping her hands and being the first to clamber over the side of the ferry onto the loading dock.
He glances at Marion. If you want, I can cry havoc and release the dogs now, or we can save them. What's it called?
Hold on to that.
Alright. He goes ahead and opens the gate and just stares at them, and they all fall silent and sit, waiting.
The back of the truck immediately stops shaking. The cacophony ceases as 20-odd pinpricks of light look back silently at you, Tig. And then you join the others, clambering off the boat onto the solid concrete of the loading bay. And as you do, I'd like everyone to make a wits awareness check for me, please.
It's one of my good ones. Only one success, though.
2 from Wolf.
2 from Wolf.
2 from Marion.
2 from Marion. Bouncer and Cat.
2 from Cat.
2 from Cat. And Bouncer.
3 from Bouncer.
3 from Bouncer. So Bouncer, you're the first one to notice. It's up to you whether you point it out to the others, but as your boots crunch down on the wet concrete and you begin to stride towards the utility elevator, you see a long smear of blood leading from the utility elevator's gate right to the edge of the dock. There's more blood splashed against the edge of the dock itself, as if something was violently dragged, kicking and screaming into the waves below.
Yeah, she'll point it out.
As Bouncer points out the smear of blood, you all notice something. You can hear the humming of machinery on the platform, but there's no signs of life, no shouts, no workmen scurrying back and forth. All seems to be eerily vacant. And as Bouncer points out the blood, the spot where someone or something was apparently dragged into the water, you, Cat, how many dots in occult do you have?
She's got 3.
3 dots in occult. As you make your way across the dock towards the utility elevator, gathering around Bouncer, who's kneeling down, running her finger through the blood and determining, Bouncer, that this blood is still wet, still fresh. You, Cat, feel what I can only describe as static electricity, some disturbance pressing against you, causing your face, your extremities to tingle. It's an experience you haven't felt since becoming a vampire. Your bodies don't conduct static electricity anymore. But the closer you get to the utility elevator, the stronger the sensation becomes. And then you peer up, Cat, up to the platform itself, and you see it. There's a gash about an inch deep into the concrete along the perimeter of the platform. It's glowing bright crimson. You recognize this gash, the way it crisscrosses through the concrete, winding upon itself, the intricate way it zigzags as the outer edge to a magic circle.
She's gonna point that out and see if anyone else can see that.
Anyone who looks where Cat's pointing can see it. You can see that gash in the concrete. The blood seeming to drip out from inside. And although you can't quite feel that sense of static electricity that Cat can, it's very clear to you that there's something ominous, that the perimeter of the platform has been marked with something, some boundary. What do you all do?
Well, if somebody's got any bright ideas, we're gonna have to go up there now, ain't we?
You can ride the utility elevator up to the platform, but then you'll have to step over the boundary. However, with your 3 dots in occult, Cat, it occurs to you that if this is some sort of magic circle, some sort of boundary, perhaps a sort of ward, then, well, according to those old books you read, all one needs to do is break the magical circuit, disrupt the circle. But with the circle itself being a huge gash in the concrete carved into the edge of the platform, the only way to do that would be to destroy the concrete, take down a chunk of the platform itself.
Well, is there any equipment about? Cranes, that sort of thing?
The loading dock does indeed have a single crane right on the very edge of the water. There's a yellow little cabin with a control panel clearly visible through a muck-encoded window. The crane itself rises about 20 feet. There's a hook on the end of it, clearly used for lifting shipping containers from the dock to the platform, and the other way around.
Let's see here.
Somebody nimble could probably reach out and do some wrecking.
That's what I'm thinking.
you up, or should we ask Wolf to give it a whirl? Or Bouncer, maybe, I don't know.
What do you
Should
think,
be
Flick?
foggy.
Flick stares up at the gash in the concrete and she says, "That's the red dome! Maybe we can tear the wall down."
Well,
I could probably do
Cat
that,
is
yeah.
not very good with technology, so maybe somebody who's better.
You up for it, Bouncer? All right, we got your back.
Flick
Pulls out the
folds her
shotgun to
arms.
cover.
She turns towards Bouncer and she's seeing Bouncer creep towards the crane and she says, "Why are you doing that? You can smash things, can't you?" She points at the pylons holding the platform up. "Just knock that down and the concrete will go with it."
Bouncer wasn't going towards the crane. She realized, she could probably just punch through the wall, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is kind of what she does. On her fifth bed
it's-
this month, you know.
Yeah.
So you're all waiting for her to climb into the cabin of the crane, ready to hear the engine roar to life, and you see Bouncer just stride past it, stride to the edge of the loading dock and stand in the shadow of one of the thick concrete pillars, looking up at it. Bouncer, you might be able to take it down, whether you do it with your fists or with the crane, but I will tell you that taking one of these pillars out probably would do bad things for the stability of the platform itself. You wouldn't be sending it straight down into the depth, but, well, if anything chaotic should happen later, you might have given the platform the first little push it needs. So it's up to you.
Yeah, I can take out the pylon, but it'll... I'm assuming affect the stability, but also it'll probably ruin some element of our surprise, if we had any.
I don't think we got much at this point.
That said, if someone would like to examine the pillars, see if maybe they can pick out one that would... seems to be the least structurally important, I would allow them to do that with a wits investigate check.
Cat can do it.
Yeah, go ahead, Cat. Make me a wits investigate check.
I suppose too, would anyone know if you were just sort of carve into the circle, would that affect it, effectively it's like you're messing up the magical writing of the circle sort of thing, or do we have to properly destroy the circle?
With her 3 dots in occult, I'd say Cat would understand that the easiest way to disrupt it would be to just remove a portion of the circle.
Yeah.
She's not sure if simply carving into it, making another line crisscross it would work, but you can try it.
She rolled a 3.
You're gazing up at the platforms and the pylons, Cat, and you realise there's one pylon. It seems to be on the very outer ring of all of them, right there under the very edge of the corner of the platform. It looks like it's mainly holding up that specific corner, but probably not as important to the overall structural integrity as the others. This is one of the outermost pillars, and if it went down, it would probably cause the least amount of damage, but it would still overall be something that erodes the integrity of the platform. But this one would be as good as any, as you direct Bouncer over to it. What would you like to do, Bouncer?
Yeah. No, other than the crane, yeah, I'm trying to think. Do I just use my fists, or do I try and find a rebar or something? I'll just wrecker it. Yeah.
And you do have Wrecker. All right, go ahead, make a rouse check.
It's a failure, get hungrier.
I won't make you roll, as rousing the blood to activate your wrecker is enough. You watch as Bouncer clenches her fist, and then glancing over her shoulder at you, she nods, turns to face the pillar, and slams her fist straight into the thick pillar of concrete. The whole loading dock beneath your feet shakes as her fist makes impact, slamming a small crater right into the side of the pillar. Hairline cracks immediately crisscross out from it. And then the platform itself lets out a terrible lurch, a rumble, as the pillar snaps. The very corner of the concrete platform above snaps off with it. Crack! And tumbles down into the black waves, sinking under instantaneously. It's gone, says Flick. The dome's gone. Whatever you did worked, Bouncer.
Good. Time to
Oh,
go.
that's good to hear.
Klaxon rings out from somewhere within the platform. You vaguely hear a voice over the din of the machinery. Please evacuate! Please evacuate! Please evacuate! Maybe you overdid it, says Flick.
Yeah, maybe just a tiny bit.
Well, we can get in now. Auntie Marion, if you'd like to lead the way, she says, gesturing towards the utility elevator.
Yeah, she does.
You gather behind Marion as she presses the button on the control panel. The little wire gate of the elevator slides shut, and the elevator rockets you up, climbing one of the pillars up to the platform. It lurches to a stop, and the gate creaks open. Oh, look at that! Says Flick, pointing at the platform ahead of you, and you see the platform is a mess. Here and there, scaffolding has begun to sag in on itself. Parts of it have collapsed. Heavy machinery litters the platform. Most of it's still operational. A huge din overwhelming the sound of the waves below. But the platform itself is strewn with blood and bodies. Men wearing orange high-vis vests with the Pentex logo emblazoned on them. At least 10, 15 men lying about, their bodies broken, their arms and legs jutting out in unnatural angles, the looks on their faces frozen in absolute terror. Numbers says something really, really bad happened here, says Flick.
Pig's the last one out, and he sends the elevator back down again while giving the dogs a silent command.
Back on the ferry, the back of the truck bursts open and 30 dogs emerge, moving as a single unit, leaping off the ferry, charging across the loading dock. You see them out of the corner of your eye, Tig, and then you turn to face the carnage. Lying, bent and broken underneath a piece of scaffolding that's toppled down, a body is pinned. Tall, slender, dressed in a tight form-fitting suit. Skin stony and grey, dead eyes rolling back in its head. Its Elliot Dawkins, the CEO of Pentex, either torpid or dead.
Tig walks over and pulls him out.
Tig, make me a strength athletics check.
I have a feeling I'll need strength later on, too, so I'll go ahead and boost that sucker and get him. It's okay. So, strength athletics. That's a critical 6.
Critical 6, more
Now I
than enough.
get the good dice.
The piece of scaffolding groans, lets out a metallic shriek as you reach forwards and slide it away. Bouncer rushes forwards, grabbing Dawkins by the arms and dragging him out from the gap underneath. She lays him at your feet, Tig. His dead, expressionless face staring up unknowing into yours.
Well,
He doesn't appear to be
rotten.
He doesn't appear to be staked. Not that you could see.
Nah. He ain't going nowhere. We can get him on the way out. Unless you want to ask questions of him now. Tig looks to Marion.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Alright. Tig steps on his chest, bites into his wrist, and lets some blood dribble down into his throat.
Make a rouse check for me, Tig.
Past that one.
Colour immediately flushes into the Ventru's cheeks. He sits bolt upright,
Tries to. Thump.
thump.
Standing on
Tries
his
to,
chest.
finds himself pinned under Tig's foot. His blonde hair is wild around his face, whipping in the wind as he looks up at you.
So
Mr.
this is
Dunstern!
this is a good news, bad news situation. Why don't you tell us what happened here, eh?
Andrea Church, she
Betrayed you?
started painting circles in the platform, spraying blood all over the place, and then she said a word, and these things came forth. Everyone screamed blood for Castoth, and they set upon each other, set upon me.
Alright. Anyone else got any questions for the small fry?
She's ahead. He groans. In the drilling nexus, middle of the platform. You have to go past the processing facility. Half of it's still under construction. Some of the men brought down some of the scaffolding, but if you could get to her, she's there. She said tonight's the night. I couldn't stop her.
Okay, yes, useful. Congrats, you get to live. Anyone else got any questions?
Marion smiles evilly. And she says, "What about you, Flick?"
Flick looks up at you, and then she peers down at the Ventru. She looks down into his eyes. And then, before she says anything, she says, "Uncle Tig, can you let him stand?"
I suppose. Since you're asking nicely there. Tig lets him up.
You let him up. And as you remove your foot, Flick leans over, stares into his eyes. This is Nadine Brandt's child. He looks up at you, Marion. You think... you think you could rein her in?
Oh, absolutely not.
She's been playing you just as much as everyone else. No loose ends, says Flick. Nadine said no loose ends. You're a stain on my reputation. You betrayed the cam. And Chase said I shouldn't be afraid to register my displeasure. She kneels down, looks straight into his eyes, and she says, take a walk off the edge into the water and don't ever come back up. See him fighting an internal battle, his face wrinkled, screwed up as he fights, but he's no match for her. He simply nods, rises to his feet and begins to shuffle through the scene of carnage towards the very edge of the platform. Well, go on, says Flick. Jump! He hesitates at the very edge, looking over his shoulder, a pleading look on his face, and then he nods, takes a step forwards, and disappears over the side. A few seconds later, you hear a gloop, the splash of his body hitting the water, and then the entire platform rumbles, shakes, as something in the depths stirs.
We should probably get a wiggle on.
What do you think of that, Auntie Marion? Says Flick. Well, I'm not sure it qualified as a question, but that was something, all right.
I'm not sure if we should be feeding it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Then you should have stopped me, says Flick, folding her arms. If you dare.
See, that's the thing about being a leader. You have to live with your choices and decisions.
He's right.
That's what grown-ups do.
She smiles and nods. Well, I think it was a good decision. Because it's because of him that we're in this whole mess. If he didn't build this platform, Chase said that people have to pay for their mistakes. They have to pay, and if they can't, then they have to pay with blood.
I guess we'll see, won't we?
Andrea's next. Come on, Numbers, she says, as she begins to walk ahead, humming, whistling like a happy little girl.
How quick I grow up, eh? Let's get a move on.
Continue onwards, negotiating through the carnage, stepping through more bent, broken bodies, workers in the throes of whatever frenzy engulfed them, bodies lying on top of other bodies, brandishing pipes, bits of wire, rebarb, whatever weapons they could get their hands on. And behind you at a distance, 30 dogs, a single black smudge on the edge of your vision, following behind, their eyes glimmering in the darkness. Soon enough, you come to the drilling nexus, the well at the very center of the platform. It's encased within a great metal dome. A single door, the only means of entry. That door, a thick metal roller shutter, currently slid down in emergency lockdown as klaxons ring around you.
Okay.
Please evacuate. Please evacuate.
Tig looks to Bouncer, grips one side of it. Shall we?
On 3.
1,
3.
2, 3. Go ahead, Bouncer and Tig. Make me strength athletics checks.
All right. All that for one success.
Do you want to add your Wrecker? You want to add your Protean with your Wrecker ability, Bouncer? Keeping in mind this will make a big noise.
No, I don't think we need Wrecker for this.
How many successes do you get?
Yeah. 2.
2. 2 and 2. As you place your hands on the roller shutter, the whole dome shakes. And then the platform underfoot as well. You hear the sounds of the waves lapping against the concrete below, and then again, that groan of something unseen stirring in the depths. With a grunt of exertion, Tig and Bouncer shift the roller shutter up, and once they've moved it off the ground, moved it about halfway, they let go and it flies up the rest of the way, quickly winding in on itself, revealing the pitch blackness of the drilling well on the other side and flooding the platform with the overwhelming cacophony of machinery, of the sound of a giant drill parting the very earth below. And somewhere in the depths of all that, a woman's voice, singing, chanting, calling upon the thing below to rise. Blood for Castoth! Come forth, great Castoth! Blood and chaos! But you can't see her. There's nothing beyond here but inky blackness. What do you do?
As the beast.
Eyes of the beast turn on. Tig's eyes warp. They glimmer red in the darkness, and as you peer through the gap, I'd like you to make a wits awareness check for me, Tig.
Yeah, alright. Two successes.
2 successes. Beyond the door, the inside of the dome, the drilling well is a big circular area. There's the titular well sunk into the concrete, descending down into the water, the black waves churning at the very bottom. Above the well is a gigantic drill, still operating, its head spinning so fast that it's nothing more than a white blur pumping with breakneck speed into the water, churning the waves around it, making a whirlpool, and standing on top of the machinery is who you can only assume is Andrea Church. Long black leather jacket, upside down silver crucifix on her chest, wild red hair as she throws her arms forth, standing on the very edge of the machine, peering down into the well below, calling upon Castoth to rise. The circle of the well itself is very obviously brimming with magical energy. You could see it, Tig. Arcs of something vaguely purple, vaguely black, running like veins, crisscrossing around the perimeter. It seems to emanate from two spots in particular. The northern edge of the well, furthest from where you are, and the southern edge, closest to the door.
Okay, we'll pass this information on to the others. I'm out of my depth. What we doing here?
Reckon we knock her block off, says Flick.
I'm in my
Knock that
depth.
machine down and send her straight down into the water.
That the plan, Marion?
That might be a little hasty.
I also get the feeling that it would somewhat be doing what she's trying to do and sending her to it.
Her then, says Flick.
What was the first word? Something her?
Her, says Flick.
It cut out again.
How do we
Stop.
stop her?
Oh, okay.
We staked one vampire today. What's another one?
So I think that might be a little more appropriate
Any
for the
more pencils?
situation. Get some more pencils.
She's standing on top of that huge thing, says Flick. That big drill and the machine on top? How could you get to her, Wolf? You can't fly.
Oh, it gets pretty close.
If you can get her off there, I can back you up. Can anyone else see in the dark?
Flick looks towards you. She
We
nods.
might need.
Numbers
might
can.
We might want to get the lights up if possible.
Big. Make me another wits awareness check.
Bam, bam, bam. Total failure.
Total failure. You look around, sticking your head through the hole, peering into the well, just long enough that you could get your bearings without her noticing you. You look around, try to find any source of light, a switchboard, a transformer,
nemesis,
a control panel.
technology.
And
Of course.
there's so much machinery in there. Control panels for the drills, override systems. You have no way of telling
Yep.
if anything will get the lights up.
Is the
But you-
drill?
Go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry, go ahead. Oh, I was gonna say, is the drill like on a track or anything?
It doesn't appear to be. It appears to just be sitting above this massive hole, just
Yeah.
drilling down into the water, and there's like an overhang from the top of the dome. It's on top of this that Andrea Church is standing. From that, the drill head is just pointing directly
Oh, I
down,
see.
drilling
Yeah.
deep into the earth.
Okay.
Think of it like a straight shaft straight down.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. My line of thinking was just like, is there anything she can do to like try and get her or the drill or any of it, out of play?
Play. Well, you have no way of seeing in the dark, but based on what the others are describing, you can go ahead and make an intelligence technology check.
I have no tech points. Let me see here.
So there's the thingy with the wires, there's the thingy with the other pipes, there's the thingy with the little yellow thing looks like a chicken. Sort of, if you squint.
Okay. Okay. Let me see. Oh, I got 2 successes.
2 successes. So, Tig's describing that there's a number of switchboards and control panels at various points throughout the dome area, but one of them is right on the very edge of the well itself, attached to a safety rail. And you don't know anything about drills, and without seeing the thing for yourself, it's really hard to tell. But logically, your assumption is that the control panel for the drill is the one that's actually overlooking the well. It probably wouldn't be one of the random things in the walls. Those probably control the lights or the safety equipment or the doors or something like that.
Well, do I see the one for the lights now?
No, you don't. Not without peering in there and taking a look at its...
Right.
But you would hazard a guess, based on what Tig's describing, that one of those switchboards attached to the wall probably gets the lights. You just don't know which one.
Well, I'll communicate that to the group.
The best you could say is just pick one, go for it, hope it works.
Alright, so you go in there, you start turning them on. Once you turn them on, Wolf does his thing, gets her down to the platform, and we jump her. And I'll move in with you, Cat, to give you cover, because I can see in the dark. That about right? Anyone else got
Me
something
and
to
Annie
throw in?
Marion, says Flick. What do we do?
That's a good question.
Once we get out down here, need somebody to... Well...
Well, Marion, you know witchy shit, so you stop any witchy shit comes your way. And Bouncer, you stand ready to smash if there's no other way of stopping the drill. Or her. Sound good?
Yeah.
Says Flick, nodding.
Alright.
Is there anything around to use as a stake? Just in the case.
I
Sure,
mean, Wolf.
I'm sure
got a
Wolf has
pencil.
another pencil, doesn't he?
Yeah, there's rebar. You said there's rebar around everywhere
Yes,
as well.
rebar
Like, I'm sure there's
around.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just
Yeah.
snap off a piece of rebar if you want.
Alright. On 3.
1, 2, 3. All right. So Tig, what are you doing?
I am running in to stand in front of the... I am basically grabbing Cat's hand, running in to stand in front of the panel, keeping myself between her and Andrea.
Cat, as Tig grabs you by the hand and rushes through the door into the drilling well, do you want him to take the panel to your left or the one to your right? The one on your right appears to be attached to some sort of large pipe that runs across the inside of the dome. The one to your left looks like it's attached to some kind of iron mesh.
I'll take the mesh, I guess.
The mesh. That way! Shouts Cat as Tig grabs her and charges into the darkness. And Tig, as you rush towards the iron mesh, you sprint past the very edge of the well. Above you, Andrea Church dances, prances. Oh, great Castoth, this blood and chaos is my gift. Revel in it. The entire well rumbles as from the very edge, some of those arcs of dark energy part, and a single long muscular arm ending in barbed talons lashes out at you and Cat. What do you do, Tig?
I activate toughness and block the arm.
Block the arm. All right.
I
Go
will
ahead.
also-
Go ahead. What would you like to activate your toughness as well?
Oh, I'm going to activate my toughness also, yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Make a rouse check.
And I assume it's a brawl to basically...
Yeah. Then I'll get you to
Alright.
roll a strength brawl for me, please.
Alright. That'll be 5 successes.
5 successes. All right. You. 5 successes to its 9 successes.
Ouchie.
Cat, get out of the way! You shout as you push Cat ahead towards the platform. The great taloned claw reaches out, clenches into a fist, and comes down upon you with its full force. Thump! Pounding you into the concrete. And you take... How many successes was that?
5.
5? You take 4 points of aggravated damage.
Okay, I will activate Defy Bane. Get hungrier and take nothing.
The ground beneath your feet shakes, and Cat, you're bowled off your feet, landing face first on the concrete. You take 4 points of superficial damage, halved to 2, and then reduced by whatever your fortitude is, because of your toughness. Then, Cat, scrambling to your feet, you rush towards the iron meshing. There's a switchboard here, some kind of fuse box, but in the darkness it's impossible to see what any of these levers or buttons do. What would you like to do?
I'm going to start pulling things.
Pulling things at random?
Yep.
As fast as you can? Go ahead. Roll 4 dice for me.
You got this.
3 successes.
3 successes. Click! The first one does nothing. Click! The second one causes an alarm klaxon to ring out. Like an air raid alarm. The third one causes a green light to blink on a panel somewhere across the dome. And then the fourth one... Finally, there's an electronic hum from behind the meshing as the wires begin to brim with electricity, and suddenly cold white fluorescent light fills the dome. And Andrea Church sees you. She peers down at you from atop the drill, smiling. Ah, the wayward child! Back, come to mummy! Anything back to her?
I think Cat just flips her off.
Oh, rude! No way to treat your elders, she says. Well, don't worry. Soon you'll see just what it means to be of this blood. Come forth, great Castos! She throws her hands in the air like a zealous preacher. And then Wolf, Bouncer, Marion, as you see the lights flicker on inside the dome, what do you do? Wolf, how do you... Oh yeah, go Marion.
No, I'm not entirely sure what she can do in this situation.
Yeah,
what Wolf could do.
I suppose you could I'll give you some choices, Marion. You know there's a ritual being conducted in this area, so you could do your binding fetter to see the parts that are dangerous, so that, you know, whatever happened to Tig just now doesn't happen to anyone else, or you can send Atticus out to do something. It's up to you.
I thought Atticus was like too dangerous for him.
Yeah, you probably don't want to send him out. Or you can simply remain on standby, ready to dominate as soon as Wolf gets her down.
I'll fetter for now.
Fetter for now. Go ahead. Make me a Wits Oblivion check.
3.
3. As you stand into the well and close your eyes, you see the perimeter of the drilling area lit up behind your eyelids. The edges of the well itself are primed with spiritual energy, and beyond that point, it's like there's no veil at all. It's not teared, it's not frayed, there is simply nothing. The barrier between this world and the next has simply been stripped away, and anyone who passes beyond that point, anyone who gets close to the edge of the well, risks drawing the attention of whatever myriad of terrible things lurk below. But go ahead for me, Marion, and make me a wits investigate check.
Okay. One.
There's you know how when a snail goes across concrete, it sort of leaves that very almost invisible sparkly trail that you can only just see if you look at it at the right angle? There's like that, leading from the very edge of the pit, right towards the wall, one of the walls of the dome, where somebody has gouged some sort of arcane rune into the metal and drenched it in blood. An anchor point, something holding the well open so that the ritual can succeed.
Yeah, we'll definitely go to try and dispel that.
You just point out, over there!
Yeah.
Bouncer, what are you doing?
If Marion points it out, is it obvious that it's like, oh, that's important?
Well, if Marion hadn't pointed it out, you would just think it's a random bunch of scratches in the metal. But as soon as Marion points it out, you realize it has some significance. Marion can obviously see something that you can't.
Yeah, alright, she'll try and, I guess, rush over and try and
Rush to
smash it out of the wall.
And Wolf, what are you doing? How are you going to get to Andrea? She's up there on the scaffolding above the drill. The only means of climbing up there would be the staircase at the back of the scaffolding. But it would take far too long to run all the way around the well, or would it?
Yeah, I believe this would probably be a job for either Rush Job or Blink. One or the other, whichever is the most appropriate.
So I'd say Blink if you want to run for it. Rush Job if you want to climb up the scaffolding, like leap up onto the side, climb up, and get to her without presenting yourself as a target on the stairway.
I think I'll use Rush Job and climb up the scaffolding then.
Alright. So, Bouncer, let's do you first. As you rush towards the arcane sigil on the wall, above you, matching the speed at which the drill turns, Andrea whirls around. She peers down at you and smiles and says, "I don't know how you saw that, but I'm not letting you get to it. And I would like you, to decide what you're going to do." As she steps to the edge of the scaffolding, flex her right hand forwards, and a pitch black flame appears on the tips of her fingers. She spends a second aiming, then raises her hand and flings it down towards you.
Well, I'd like to try to not be where that lands.
So just dodge out of the way. All right,
Yeah.
Go ahead. Make me a Dex Athletics roll.
Like normal fire, black fire seems worse.
Like fire, black fire.
Do you get iframes if you dodge at the right time?
Probably gonna keep coming up, so I'm just gonna boost dex. Ooh, success, I don't get worried. Messy 5. I guess.
Messy 5.
Critical 5. 'Cause of
So-
the ghosts.
So Andrea is going to spend 3 rouse checks. Her hunger goes up by 1. And then the flame leaves her hand, sailing across the room towards you. The tiny little flame growing bigger and bigger as it travels until when it nearly reaches you, it's a fireball bigger than your body. You duck out of the way, hitting the dirt, and that was a critical 9, was it?
Critical 5.
Critical 5. Critical 5 to her 6 successes.
Ugh.
The flame hits the ground in front of you, explodes, leaving a scorch mark painted on the concrete, and as the little black sparks jump off the concrete towards you, your beast shrieks, roaring in terrified pain and anger as you take 3 points of aggravated damage. And I would also like you to roll me a frenzy check. That would be resolve plus composure plus a third of your humanity.
That is 4 successes.
4 successes. You instinctually rear back, look over your shoulder towards the door, and feel yourself whirling on the spot, hissing, "Ah!" like a stunned animal as the black sparks dance at your feet, and then you grit your teeth, controlling your beast, willing it to push on, dodging around another black spark as it leaps towards you, sprinting the rest of the way to the sigil. Alright, we get to Wolf. Wolf, you rush towards the very edge of the well and, steeling yourself, take a running leap forwards, clinging like a cat to the side of the scaffolding, and then with supernatural speed begin to scale it. Several feet with each movement you make, steadily pulling yourself up the side. As you see the platform drawing nearer and nearer, as you feel Andrea growing closer towards you. Within seconds, she'll be in your grasp. Something beneath you in the well lurches. Dark energy dances around the perimeter of the pit, and then once again, from the depths below, from another world, that muscular talon-laced hand emerges, straining its fingers as it tries to reach you. What do you do?
If we're in another round, can Tig intervene? Or is it the same round?
Yeah, same round, not a different round
Alright.
yet.
Please continue, sir.
I believe the Wolf will activate his new Blurred Momentum ability
Please
to give
describe
himself
what
a bit of
that
an
does.
edge. So, Blurred Momentum makes any attacks on Wolf instantly fail if they are below a 4. And anything that disallows dodge tests is also dodged.
Yeah. Well, I would say that you don't really have the chance to dodge because you're climbing, but with that ability active, you do. So I'll ask you a question. What's the plan here? Do you want to dodge out of the way, continue climbing up and get to Andrea, or do you want to attack that thing as it reaches you, maybe stick a knife in it so it thinks twice about going for you again?
What he's going to do is wait till the last second for it to lash out and throw himself sideways across the scaffolding and grab something horizontally.
Alright. Do you require a rouse check for your new ability?
I do, and I pass, so he doesn't get hungrier.
Alright, go ahead. Roll me dexterity, athletics, and I would say, because of your rapid reflexes, you may add your celerity to the roll.
That is a messy 5, so just a 5.
C5.
Actually, I'm going to willpower that.
Gonna willpower it? Sure.
7.
7, no longer messy?
No longer messy. No, it's still messy. But I'm not sure why a dodge would be messy.
You're about to dodge. And then a voice in the back of your mind. Become one with what's below. Let us rejoin them. The wraith that lives in your mind desperately tries to hijack your body, freezing your limbs, clasping your hands to the side of the scaffolding, trying to hold you still. Your sheer willpower overrides it, pushing the voice to the back of your mind, where it becomes an indecipherable scream, and you leap forwards, sliding across the side of the scaffolding, grabbing hold of another chunk of it, dangling horizontally, as the taloned demon hand rolls a 4 and the talon comes crashing down into the side of the scaffolding, shaking the entire dome. It clenches its fingers together and slides once again back down into the dark depths. Next round. Tig, what would you like to do?
There's still a black hand in front of me.
No, after it attacked you, it once again slid back down into the depths.
All
Seems to be doing, anytime anyone gets close enough that it can strike, it lashes out and then pulls itself back in. It's not fully of this world yet.
Okay, Tig is going to pull out the shotgun, which is loaded with silver shot. Might do something, you don't know. And he's going to ready to shoot the hand next time it crops up.
Time it crops up. Alright. Bouncer, what are you doing?
I think at this point, yeah, she's just going to try and close the distance and get to the sigil.
To the sigil? You easily close the distance, leaping over another black spark, dancing around a black flame that she throws at you, laughing. Dance! Dance for Castoff! And then you stand up against the wall, up against the indecipherable jumble of scratches and gashes here. What do you do?
I know this is metal now, isn't it?
It is metal, yes. The quickest solution would probably be to just wrecking ball it, but that might bring a significant portion of this dome, the drilling that encases the drilling pit, down as well.
Okay, instead, it can try to... Because, yeah, obviously the easiest way would be just try and punch through, like, punch the whole wall out, but, yeah, instead try to use the bit of rebar that Chaz is the makeshift stake and, like, essentially try to, like, puncture it and hope that, like, if she can puncture enough spots, that'll count as, like, breaking it enough.
Go ahead, make me a strength melee check. And I will roll against her Oblivion to see if you do it.
Strength melee, yeah, so I'm going to rouse for potence.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah. Failure, got 1. Oof, I'm gonna reroll that. Okay, it makes it 4 successes.
4 successes. Her oblivion is 4, so you needed exactly 4. You grab the rebarb and scream as you pummel the wall. Crash! Crash! Scraping the rebarb against it, and you succeed in making 3 very long, very deep gashes in the wall. You're not sure if it did something, if it did anything at all. And yet, behind you, you hear the sound of something roaring in the depths, and the air in the room shifts ever so slightly. Cat, what are you doing?
Does the cat's occult help know anything about the sigil or to do anything with that?
Go ahead, roll me an intelligence plus occult.
Cat. That's 4 successes.
4 successes. You watch as Bouncer lays into the sigil, defacing it, and you can feel the energy pulsating in the room around you, ebbing and flowing as she does it. She's on the right track, but there's something even Marion didn't notice. You're watching the sigil and your eyes trace it down the wall to the floor, and there you can see it. You're the only one to see it. A very, very thin, almost invisible in the bright light trail of white powder leading from the base of the wall to the edge of the drilling pit. All you need to do is break that line and the sigil will be done.
Well, she will do so.
Cover me, Tig! You shout as you rush towards the thin line of powder, and as you do so, the well once again shakes. The black waves churn below, and Castoth's taloned hand rises, towering over you, flexing its fingers as it begins to bear down. Tig, composure plus firearms check for me.
Alright, this is gonna take both barrels, I think. I don't know, boost composure, and get hungrier. Just gotta double check to make sure, yeah, okay. 4 successes.
4 successes. Tig, I'd like you to go ahead and roll me Charisma plus Animal Ken, please.
Do I add in a generational blood potency
Do
bonus?
go ahead, add your blood potency bonus, because it is technically one of your disciplines.
Yep. If the shotgun doesn't stop it, I will have some dogs intercepting. Good idea. 2 successes.
2 successes, added to how many was it?
4.
4. 4 plus 2 equals 6. The hand rolled 6 successes as it bears down upon Cat, and she looks up. She lets out a yelp. The talon only inches from her face. You cock the shotgun. Bang! Bang! The silvered bullets fly into the hand, and it flinches. Only for a moment as Castoth's fingers tense together into a fist, and that fist begins to move down with blinding speed, prepared to crush Cat like a bug. And then 30 dogs come charging into the room, growling, baring their teeth. You point towards the hand, and they don't need to be told twice, barreling towards it like they're in a feeding frenzy. You hear Cat shriek as she ducks out of the way as the hand comes down, and the dogs leap forward, sinking their teeth into it. The hand thrashes back and forth, sending canines flying. You hear yelps, snapping bones, and when the hand withdraws once again into the depths, 10 dogs lie dead and broken on the concrete, the rest of them gathering around the edge of the pit, barking and growling. Cat reaches the powder. And how do you disrupt it, Cat?
I mean, I think she's just like it's on the floor, right? And she uses her foot.
You step forwards, and as you're about to shift your foot onto it, Andrea notices you. No! Oh! She shouts, rushing to the edge of the scaffolding, leaning over the safety rail. No! You know not what you meddle with! You fight against your own blood, child!
She says, "Ma'am, I'm gonna need you to calm down," and then flips her off again, and then brushes it all out of the way with her foot.
And as your foot brushes the powder out of the way, with the sigil defaced, the line broken, feel the magic leave the room like air being sucked out of an airlock. The waves in the pit below cease churning and the water begins to calm. You see Catstoth's hand reaching up, its talons edging, straining against the surface of the water as the last bit of dark energy is sucked from the side of the pit down into the vortex, pulling the hand down with it. No! Screams the barley above, just as Wolf. You're about a foot away from the top of the scaffolding. You can be on her in a moment. What would you like to do? You appear to be lucky at the moment, I will say, as she's leaning over the safety rail, peering down at her child. She doesn't notice you just dangling off the side, her back turned to you.
He's gonna grab her by the wrist and tug her off so that she flips over the edge.
Ooh,
down
very
below
nice.
to where everybody's waiting.
So you don't actually climb up, you're just gonna like shimmy across, reach up, grab her by the wrist and flip her down.
Yeah, so she lands where everybody else is, not in the water.
Yeah, alright, go ahead. Make me a strength brawl check, and you may add a bonus dice for catching her by surprise.
That's 3. Actually, one more.
One more?
4.
4. Alright, let me see. Dex plus... See what she's dealing with. Just Dex, she has no brawl whatsoever. At the very last moment, she sees your head poking over the side, sees your arm reaching out. She leaps back and flexes her hand, another black flame appearing, but she doesn't have the chance to throw it as you lean forwards, grab her by the wrist and pull. Oh, she shouts, "Let go!" And she screams as you pull her over the side, hold her over the edge, and fling her out. She lands with a scream and a thud on the very edge of the pit. And at this point, Tig, you rush forwards, and just as she's about to slide over the edge into the water, you grab her by the hand and yank her up. She struggles and thrashes in Tig's grasp, trying to get free. Marion, Flick looks up into your face, looks into your eyes, winks, and smiles. "Shall we?" she says.
Oh, she's all yours, sweetheart.
"All mine?" She steps forwards towards the edge of the pit where Tig and Andrea Church wrestle, where they fight, where black flames bristle on the ends of Andrea's fingers, and she screams and hisses as Tig pounds his fist into her face over and over and over.
Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep.
Flick approaches you, Tig. She spends a few moments watching the melee unfold, folding her arms. "Auntie Marion said she's all mine."
All right, Tig says, and rolls and push it, and pretty much keeps a hold on her and holds her out toward Flick. Careful, she's spicy.
Flick looks up into Tig's eyes. She smiles. "Jump into the water with her!"
Is she by any chance 13th generation?
She is not. You cannot spend willpower to shut her down.
However,
But go ahead.
what's
Can
it?
you resist?
That's intelligence plus resolve.
So that will be to resist
Plus.
her. To resist her dominate will be intelligence plus resolve.
Plus 4 dots of fortitude.
4
Boost
dots
both
of fortitude.
Intelligence and resolve. So I will be rolling 3 dice there, 5 dice there. That's 8 plus. Okay. I'm gonna willpower to reroll that. Seriously.
How'd you do?
Willpower. 5 successes is the best I can do.
5 successes. Alright, let's go for Flick. Four successes. Flick's face screws up in disappointment like a petulant child whose favourite toy has been taken away. She says, she looks over her shoulder at Marion, "Auntie, Pig's not doing what I said."
Wolf, can you put a pin in this in a second?
Yeah, Wolf readies some rear.
Climbs to his feet, readies the rebar, and Tig, go ahead. Hold her down. Strength roll.
We'll go ahead and use another willpower because I got that. 3 successes. That's
3 successes. She's going to rouse the blood. She gets hungrier. She gets to hunger 4. She's going to spend a point of willpower.
And it occurs to me that I'm not fighting alone here.
You're
I'll
not.
have the dogs close in too.
The dogs close in. Go ahead. What's your animal ken?
3.
I will add 3 bonus successes to the pool. She struggles. She fights. Sparks fly from her fingertips, but you press her down, slamming her into the concrete as the dogs growl. One of them sinks its teeth into her wrist, another into her leg, and they bite. She shrieks as Wolf steps forwards, and what do you do?
I think the logical thing to do would be to stake her. So he will.
Expressionless and neutral, calm and collected as always, he leans down and slides the rebar into her chest. Cries Flick, her face screwing up. She immediately rushes towards Marion, burying her face in your pants, her fist pounding in your leg. Tig didn't listen!
Well, Tig doesn't have to listen to you, sweetheart.
Tig should respect his superiors!
Number one, you're not my superior. Number two, you didn't say please.
It's true, that's very important.
She sniffs. Pulls
In
back.
any case,
Blood
I ain't
tears
going-
running down her face. She grits her teeth, staring up at you, Marion, in anger. You didn't even help!
It's really not my forte, sweetheart.
You could have told Tig to jump in the water with her.
I don't want
Tig
to
is
go
my
in the
friend.
water, Flick.
But he's an anarch! And Nadine said they can't be trusted.
Well, I don't agree with Nadine on that one.
Nadine said you're like Meryl Streep in The Devil Wears Prada. She buries her face once more in your clothing, sobbing, crying. For a moment there, the thought crossed her mind. A powerful Malkavian, 11th generation. It would have been no hard feat for her to simply order Marion to help her, redouble her efforts on Tig and send Marion and Tig down into the depths. It occurred to her. But Marion, tonight, you treated her like an equal. You asked her to come along, where Nadine and Chase and Verity have seen her as nothing more than an asset, a child, a pawn, to brainwash, to do their bidding. You let her make her own choice. And that means something. She wraps her arms tightly around your leg. I don't want to go to Nadine or Chase anymore, Auntie Marion. I just want you.
You don't have to do anything you don't want to, okay, Flick?
She nods. And then, with that, we'll move into our epilogue. Good evening. I'm Jonathan Cowie. Our top story tonight, a devastating incident off the coast of Gateway City in Cowie's Bay, where an offshore drilling platform has collapsed following an unexplained explosion. The incident has left many questions unanswered and has raised concerns about the safety of the offshore drilling operation. Our correspondent, Jessica Moss, is live at the scene with the latest reports. Jess, what can you tell us? Thank you, John. I'm standing here just off the coast of Cowie's Bay, where the once towering offshore drilling platform has now become a twisted and mangled wreckage. The incident occurred in the early hours of this morning when an explosion rocked the platform, leading to its catastrophic collapse. The platform was operated by Pentex, and the cause of the explosion remains unknown at this time. The camera sweeps across images of the collapsed platform, gnarled pieces of metal and concrete floating in the waves. Emergency response teams in action. Emergency response teams are on the scene, engaged in a frantic search and rescue operation to locate any survivors. The Coast Guard and local authorities are working together to contain the potential environmental impact as the platform was drilling in deep waters. Eyewitnesses on nearby vessels reported a massive fireball followed by billowing smoke, prompting distress calls from the platform. The intensity of the explosion has hampered rescue efforts, and the exact number of casualties and missing individuals is still unclear. Families of the workers are anxiously awaiting updates on their loved ones. What's not shown on the news is a ferry sliding into a marina on the edge of G-Town's waterfront. 5 pale-skinned, hungry vampires huddled on deck. Hair wild, eyes bloodshot, clothes coked in grime and blood. Here's the question for you. What happened to Andrea Church?
I'll say we give it over to the Lupines.
Any objections?
Oh, that sounds appropriate.
I don't think Wolf would have any issues with that.
I don't think Cat would either.
There are rumors from that night onwards, whispered in pubs, circulated on social media, that wolf-faced men gathered at Eastern Beach that night. That 5 incredibly decrepit, pale-skinned people made a handoff, gave them one of their own. And Andrea Church was never seen again. Normality returns to G-Town, or at least what passes for normality these nights. With the newly established anarch Free State of Melbourne only an hour's drive away, the writing's on the wall for the cam in G-Town. But that doesn't mean that Prince Avelline's going to just give up without a fight. A few nights later, the Hecata of G-Town are formally inducted into the cam, official practitioners of necromancy and the occult. The rumour around court is that Chase Giovanni arranged a deal with Prince Aveline, handing over a fugitive of the court. A fugitive that is dealt with quickly behind closed doors. There's no grand blood hunt, there's no fanfare, there's not even a public trial. G-Town simply has a consul one night, and none the next. There's no need for a consul in this city, Prince Aveline tells her court. We can all see where it's heading. Dinesh straining every chance he could get to run us out of our own town, and Baron Archibald sitting there, letting him run amok. Any peace we have between these two factions remains only as long as they stay on their side and we stay on ours. Tig Duncern. What does fate have in store for you?
The next night, Tig goes and gets Elaine and asks her to help him dig. And handing her a shovel, he goes out into the backyard and starts digging. It's down here somewheres, I think.
4, she says. Do we have to do it tonight? I'm missing home and away. You know, Alf's gonna find out who burnt down the surf club this time, for real.
Well, I think it's kind of important. Relax, it shouldn't take us long to... clunk. There it is. And Tig reaches down and draws out the strong box and opens it up. And inside are a lot of silver bars. I laid these away back when I thought the Cold War was gonna get hot. It's not that much, it's a few thousand. But it's enough to rent an apartment out near Bunyip's turf. Tig looks up at her.
You want me off the farm, love?
No. I'd love for you to stay. But I've noticed you've been getting restless. And it occurred to me. You've been here on the farm 20 years. 20 years staying here because it's safe. And now you're running with the pack, and now I'm thinking your blood's telling you let me out, isn't it? If I guess wrong, let me know.
I'd never... But she peers down into the strong box, her eyes widening at the silver, and Tig could see it. Tig could see her veins. You can see the blood, his blood, Bunyip's blood pumping through her body. He can hear her beast, and he knows no gangrel wants to stay in one place. She's got the taste for it. She's become a monster.
Tig reaches up and takes her hand. Doesn't mean you can't come back and visit. Doesn't mean you can't stop by every once in a while, but you deserve a place of your own. You deserve a chance for some place to go when you're mad at me, or when you want to go and try new things. And I don't always have to be there. I'm your husband. I'm not your master, sire, or anything like that. We're equals, Elaine. We is.
She nods. We did vow till death do us part.
Yeah.
I suppose it has. But that doesn't mean we have to call it quits.
No. I'd like to keep on going, but I'm thinking, given I eat animals and you eat people, it's smart to go where the people is for you. And I think I need to stay by the animals for me. And sometimes you're gonna need space from me. So if you want to stay here for now and again, you do that. And if you want to go here, sometimes you do that. That's enough for a good apartment for maybe half a year, and after that, figure something out. Sell more Ed. You see how it goes. Eh?
See how it goes, she says. But you know what choice she'll eventually make. You found out shortly after the final conflict on the platform that when the Lupines headed for the O'Tollies to close that anchor point, one of them decided to call Bunyip in for a hand. Fight alongside us rather than with us, you big black dog! And he brought along Elaine. They fought side by side. Black Dog and Blue Healer. I've got a taste for it now, she says.
Yeah. You do. No, I'm proud.
And I'm proud of you, she says. And always will be.
Alright. If you want to Take Wallace. So I want me to send Wallace out to visit you every now and then. That's cool. If you want to take him for a while, that's alright too. It's your kid too. Yeah.
Thinks, silent for a moment.
Or I'll mind him. He's no trouble.
I could use a retainer, she says. I'll take him. For this month at least.
Yeah. That works. We'll need somebody to set out that apartment anyway. Make sure it's proper sunproof. That fucker stings.
Gonna be a lot going on if these Cam and Anarchs are going to war. Reckon the Lupines will be causing a bit of strife. Now, that thing you helped Dirge with, well, she's gonna try and make sure that Lupine affairs and kindred affairs don't interfere with each other. But you know it's only a matter of time.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna start running with the pack now. I think with that console nonsense beside me, I can go have a talk with Bunyip.
He'd welcome you, she says.
I think he would. Yeah.
Domain's gonna need protecting now more than ever.
Tomorrow night, though, he says.
She
Tomorrow
wraps. She slides her fingers into yours and she nods. Tomorrow night. Come on.
And we dance beneath the moonlight.
Marion Duncern. What does fate have in store for you?
Oh, you're asking me.
Yeah. What do you think would happen to Marion? What happens to Flick? What is her place in this new society? Does she accept that she's now in the cam, that her clan answer to the prince? Does her duty override? Or does she find her own path?
I think Marion would try and spend some significant amount of helping or directing Flick away from being just a wanton psychopath.
And so, Marion finds herself in Sam's old position. There's no need for a council, not anymore. Not with the way things are going, but... well, if war's around the corner, there's going to be a lot of neonates, a lot of fledglings without their sires. Put them on the right path. Marion's done a good thing with Flick. It all came out good in the end. Shall this be her destiny? Sir, what does fate have in store for you, do you think?
Was that me? Sorry, the first part got cut off.
What does fate have in store for Bouncer?
I think she, once things sort of settle down a little and seemingly go back to a semblance of normalcy with everything that happened and hearing the news of what's happening in Melbourne, she starts to like the idea of an Anarch G-Town. So probably ends up trying to work with Dinesh to try and subtly push things more in their favour.
She's always been the den mother, always been the big sister for Melissa and Clara and all the girls at the club. And now she's going to be the big sister to all of the rowdy Anarchs. Unite them, teach them, direct them. Wolf, you're free now. What do you do with yourself?
It's a good question.
The The Banu Hakim did make an offer back during that whole Bane at the Mall ordeal that you'd proven yourself in your service to Sam, and if you ever did want to come into the fold, they'd be waiting. But does Wolf really want to be someone else's tool again?
I think specifically Wolf would spend time disappeared for a while and figuring out what it is he actually wants now that he has a chance to actually think about what he wants.
Marion would give him a job offer.
Yeah, we take that actually. After some time being underground.
Marion and Wolf, the outsiders, working together. And Wolf takes the job because he wasn't forced. Marion, for perhaps the first time in his existence as a vampire, approaches him as an equal, offers him a proposal, working together as equals, friends, partners. And now Wolf is truly free. And finally, Cat. You played your cards right, and the rest of eternity lies before you. You're free from your sire's machinations. You're free from the call of your blood. Free to live as a Kaitif, as a kindred of G-Town. What place do you eventually carve for yourself among the city's monsters?
I feel like I think that, you know, kind of as time goes on, she's probably going to try and put some distance between her and Kyle. And is probably going to spend some time trying to figure out what it is that, you know, she's going to do now. You know,
She's learned that she's worthy, that she can live on her own terms, and she doesn't need anyone, whether that be Kyle or Andrea, to give her the validation she needs. And she takes her first steps into life as a fully fledged vampire. And it ends. Night once more falls on G-Town, just as it will tomorrow, just as it will forevermore. And the monsters of G-Town awake to do their scheming, to do their plotting, to do their secret work under the cover of darkness. As Cowie's Bay silently watches as the stars and the moon dance on the water, and whatever lies below slumbers again.